Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a pretty fascinating historical evolution and really dig into the psychological drivers behind our absolute addiction to cataloging greatness. From ancient times right up to the modern internet era, humanity just can't seem to resist making lists of the absolute best structures and natural phenomenon on Earth. So we're going to break down exactly why we do this.
Okay, let's jump right into the core of the mystery here. From ancient Greek scholars outlining the marvels of the Mediterranean to modern internet users logging on to vote for their favorite monuments, society simply cannot stop rewriting this list. You'd think one definitive catalog would be enough, right? But the reality is way more complex. We just keep creating new lists of world wonders over and over again. But what is actually driving this behavior? Is it just basic human nature to categorize things? Or is there something a bit deeper at play? Let's take a look.
Section 1. The original 7 and the magic of number 7.
To really understand this modern phenomenon, we actually have to look way back to classical antiquity, where this whole listing obsession first kicked off. But if you track how these lists evolved over the centuries, it definitely wasn't a straight line. In classical antiquity, early Greek sources started proposing wonders, but they were strictly limited to the Mediterranean rim and the Near East, basically just the world known to them at the time. Then, during the 19th and early 20th centuries, writers sort of imagined these retroactive lists for the Middle Ages, compiling what they called wonders of the medieval mind. It's a brilliant illustration of how fluid history can be. Believe it or not, the canonical list of the 7 wonders of the ancient world wasn't actually locked in stone until a publication called the Octo Mundi Miracula in 1572. So, listing wonders has always been a constantly evolving process, and it's deeply subjective to the people doing the writing.
Now, you might be wondering, why 7? I mean, why not a top 10 list or a top 5? Well, the number wasn't picked at random. The ancient Greeks chose it because they firmly believed it represented perfection and plenty. It was this mystical blend of ancient astronomy and the philosophical concept of perfection. Specifically, it reflected the 5 known planets at the time, plus the sun and the moon. They essentially built a template of 7 that was just so compelling it literally stuck with us for millennia. Every subsequent generation has felt the pull of this magic number when trying to define the greatness of their own era.
Section 2. Validating modern human progress.
Moving into the 19th and 20th centuries, the desire to make these lists shifted. We went from focusing on mythical ancient structures to validating incredible modern human achievements. The sheer volume and variety of modern spin-offs just exploded. We aren't just looking at ancient statues anymore. We use these lists to categorize and validate our own progress as a civilization. Take the 7 wonders of the industrial world, which focused on brilliant engineering feats like the Bell Rock Lighthouse, or USA Today's new 7 wonders list from 2006, which completely mixed things up by including natural wonders like the Grand Canyon and even a conceptual wonder, the internet. No way the ancient Greeks saw that coming, right? Then you have CDAM's underwater wonders, spotlighting marine ecosystems like the Belize Barrier Reef. This incredible variety really shows us that as our capabilities and awareness expand, so does our need to document and celebrate the absolute best of what we can see, build, and conceptualize. We create new lists to reflect what our current society values most.
Section 3. The modern megapole phenomenon.
But man, nothing compares to what happened when this list-making impulse collided with the digital age. In 2001, the new 7 Wonders Foundation launched a massive campaign to choose a brand new set of wonders. They started with 200 existing monuments and whittled them all the way down to 21 finalists. And then, they opened it up to the public. It was a colossal popularity poll that allowed people to vote multiple times via the web and telephone. And in a pretty amusing nod to ancient mysticism, the campaign playfully leaned right into the rule of 7 by announcing the final winners on July 7, 2007. Yep, 7/7/7 in Lisbon. It was a spectacular marketing event for sure, but the mechanics of the poll itself sparked a massive global debate.
And this staggering number is exactly why. 100 million. That is the estimated number of votes cast globally. John Zogby, of the polling organization Zogby International, actually called it the largest poll on record. People from all over the planet logged on or called in to make absolutely sure their cultural heritage was represented. It was an exercise in list-making on a truly unprecedented scale.
Now, this unbelievable level of participation highlights a pretty major controversy. On one side, you have the new 7 Wonders Foundation. While they described themselves as a not-for-profit, the licensing and sponsorship money was actually going to a commercial business, the New Open World Corporation. They ran an unscientific poll where, as we mentioned, you could vote multiple times. On the flip side, you have UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. UNESCO officially distanced itself from the campaign, both in 2001 and again in 2007. Why? Well, they are bound by strict scientific bylaws to record and give strictly equal status to all World Heritage Sites. UNESCO pointed out that a private popularity contest, which really only reflects the opinions of those with internet or phone access, is fundamentally different from rigorous scientific preservation.
Section 4. Pride, Profit, and Preservation.
So if these polls are widely considered unscientific, why on earth did so many people care so much? Why do we keep recreating these lists? Well, it really comes down to a potent mix of pride, profit, and preservation. To see national pride in action, look no further than Brazil. During that 2007 mega poll, an estimated 10 million votes were cast by Brazilians alone to support Christ the Redeemer. The campaign tapped into a deep, deep well of national identity. Winning a spot on a Modern Wonders list wasn't just about ancient architecture anymore. It was about securing modern, global validation.
I mean, the lengths they went to were absolutely incredible. To drum up those millions of votes, corporate sponsors actually got involved. An airplane flew this massive message, 4916, Vote for Christ, over Rio de Janeiro for an entire month. It was a wildly aggressive, astonishing campaign tactic that highlighted exactly how commercial interests and national pride had started to intersect perfectly in the creation of these new lists.
And hey, it absolutely wasn't just Brazil doing this. Entire governments and literal royalty actively fueled the phenomenon. In Peru, the Ministry of Commerce led an intensive media campaign to get Machu Picchu elected, which led to nationwide celebrations when it actually won. In Jordan, Queen Rania herself personally backed the campaign for Petra. And over in India, news channels, celebrities, and radio stations urged mass voting for the Taj Mahal. These modern lists turn cultural heritage into a fiercely competitive sport, and the reason is simple. Being named a world wonder drives massive tourism dollars, global prestige, and immense national pride.
Actually, let's take a quick step back, because it's super important to realize that not all list-making is just about commercial megapolls or tourism dollars. Some lists are driven by a genuine science-backed need for conservation. The 1989 Underwater Wonders list by CDM International actively brought together marine scientists to identify and protect vital oceanic areas, like the Belize Barrier Reef. In this case, the list format was used as a powerful tool for environmental advocacy, essentially highlighting what is wonderful so that we actually remember to protect it.
As we wrap up this explainer, we're left with a pretty fascinating realization. We don't just make these lists to catalog old stones, we make them to reflect what our society values right now. Whether that happens to be engineering prowess, national identity, or ecological preservation. We are clearly addicted to the magic of the number 7 and to the endless debate of what truly defines greatness. So I'll leave you with this question. Given our enduring human desire to categorize the spectacular, what marvels will tomorrow's society obsess over? Will they be structures on Mars? Or maybe digital realms we haven't even conceived of yet? Thanks for joining me, and keep questioning the wonders around you.